Set up. Let's start the software here. I'm going to click on the icon. When I start the software in this computer, I have to let it know that I'm allowing it to run the software. It needs to be run in administrator mode because of the way the software writes to the hard drive. So while the software is booting up, it starts searching the COM ports. So it's actually looking for this target. That's why the target should be on. And my link light is on. So now I can see that here I'm connected to the target and the serial number of the target. So this communicates, the target sends its serial number, and then what the computer does is it looks for a license key for this target. In other words, the S680 systems comes with a feature license. It usually has all the features. A lesser system will have certain features that are unlocked. So, but should something happen to your tablet and you get another tablet or you install the software on a computer and try to work, number one, it has to have Bluetooth connection. You're going to have to pair the target to the computer, and then you're going to have to copy the license key from one to the other, and so they can communicate. You can't just turn it on and the tablet or the computer will communicate. They have to be paired together, and the license key in here has to match the license key in the software. All right, so now we have the software booted up. We have only two options here. These are all grayed out. We have the project manager, the load and create a machine, and we also have the settings and preferences. The settings and preferences set up the program, not the alignment. It sets up the program. So if I click on the settings and preferences, I can go into here, and here I can change this from inches or imperial to metric. I can look at my slopes, angles. Some people call it angles, we call it slope, in inches per inch or inches per foot or degrees. Now if I was to select metric, then I can do that in millimeters per millimeter or millimeters per meter or degrees. The slope angle resolution is how many decimal places we're seeing. 3 decimal places is usually sufficient for any shaft alignment system. In our gap units, we can look at that in inches or mils. The gap resolution, again, is 3 decimal places is sufficient. We can look at 4. We can increase these to 4. We can have 1, 2, 3, or 4 decimal places in inches. In millimeters, 1, 2, or 3 decimal places. Okay, our offset, shim moves, and tolerance units. Again, inches or millimeters, inches or mils. Offset resolution, 3 decimal places. Again, I like to do everything in 3 decimal places with the exception of the distance resolution. What I mean by the distance resolution is we have to give this some dimensions. So they're going to be distances. 2 decimal places is fine. So 1/4 of an inch, we don't have to say 250 thousandths, we can say 0.25. Okay, we can force a single axis mode. In other words, this target reads both vertically and horizontally. If I force a single axis mode, it's only going to read vertical when it's standing up, and it'll read horizontal when it's laying on its side at 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. It'll read vertical when it's at 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock. We can disable the rotation sensor. Sometimes these may be setting at quite an angle, a 45-degree angle, say, or maybe we're doing a vertical shaft. If that's the case, then the rotation sensor is not going to work. The software is going to be waiting for that to move, looking for it to move, and it can't because it's at a bad angle. So we disable that rotation sensor. Then we can tell the software what position we're at. Okay, we have auto sweep is a feature in the program that we can constantly rotate and capture data. If I don't require a manual start and stop, then what's going to happen is when I start moving, it's going to start taking data. When I stop moving, it's going to calculate that data and give me the misalignment. So if if you have a hard time making the move, like you use a pry bar or something to rotate, then you may want to start taking data and then pause while you clear something or whatever, and then start it again. So you tell it when you want to start taking data, when you want to stop taking data. Auto clock disable, or auto advance, we have it disabled. If we're using auto clock, which is another feature in the license, a data taking method. So in other words, if I was doing auto clock and I put it here and I took a reading at 12 o'clock, I could tell that to auto advance clockwise, which would take me to 3 o'clock next, or counterclockwise, which would take me to 9 o'clock next. So as soon as I captured the 12 o'clock reading, the screen would jump to 3 o'clock. I really don't need to do that unless I disable the rotation sensor. So I can disable the auto clock advance and use the rotation sensor. If I disable the sensor, then I may want to auto advance, but tell it which way I'm going to be traveling. Okay, the auto scale graphics rotation. In other words, if the graphics will change automatically to fit on the screen. So if we're way out, this picture doesn't go away. We have shim moves and direction. When this is going to calculate for us how much shim to put underneath it here, in the front and the back, and it's also going to tell us how much to move side to side in the front and the back. When we're out of tolerance, there'll be arrows. In other words, if this needs to go up, it'll have an arrow that says up. Once I get within tolerance, the arrows will go away if I have that box checked. The horizontal moves that say show the horizontal moves, show the direction, or the sign, I should say. In other words, a plus. If I need to go to the right, I would have a plus number. Who cares? We're going to have the arrows. We don't need to know what the signs are, so I just always disabled that. The update rate is how fast is this update. So with the newer computers, we can do a pretty fast update because of the processor speed. The graphics, if you have an older computer, you may want to use the lower resolution. The on-screen keypad, when we're using the laptop, we don't need the on-screen keypad because we have a keyboard. If you're using the desktop or the tablet, you'll need to have a pop-up keyboard so you can enter machine name and stuff like that. There isn't a pop-up keyboard for all of the numbers. So it doesn't matter what we're using, we still use that keyboard. If you don't use the Windows on-screen keyboard, we have our own keyboard that will pop up. So there's also a box for shutting down the target when the application closes. In other words, if I shut down Couple6, the target's automatically going to shut off. That's so you don't forget to turn it off. There's an air filter, AC filter frequency. What that means in the United States, our lights cycle at 60 hertz. One of the reasons that we blink this light on and off and on and off, we turn one off and turn the other one on, so we're measuring center and angles. But also when that light is turned off, it's measuring how much light is coming in here and hitting that photoelectric cell. So the computer's looking for that light wave, that hertz, that 60 hertz. In some other countries, their lights cycle at 50 hertz. So we can change that frequency from 60 hertz to 50 hertz for different countries. We have an averaging or samples. In other words, when I tell this to start recording, every 8 readings that it takes, in this case I have it set at 8, every 8 readings that it takes, it's going to add that together and give me an average of those. And it's a running average, so it captures one and it averages that one plus the last 7. All the time it's capturing data. And this is capturing data about 15 times per second. So, okay, we have the alignment report. We can edit the header. I'm going to bring this up. You see here we have our logo on my computer, but you could put your logo on your report. You can change that logo, but you can put in your company name and address and so on and so forth. This doesn't change the report, it's just a heading. You'll have a lot of other data you can put in the report. Okay, we have a box we can check for auto save and backup, and all these changes we can save as default. That's just the program setup. Also, up at the top we have these other options. We have the file option, which is standard. We can open it or we can save. The tools, the toolbox we have, we can reconnect the target. If somehow somebody accidentally turned this target off or turned it off for some reason or other, and you turn it back on, we can reconnect. We just click the reconnect. This version of the software, if it loses its signal, it's going to start looking again anyway. But this authorize the target, you can see there, we can have the add or verify the license key. So if I copied a license key into a new computer, I could click on this tab and it would go and verify that key matches this target. If you go to the help screen, this is a big one for you because the manual for this system is on this computer or on that tablet. And if I want to look at the whole manual, I could click on manual. I can look at the top page or the table of contents. If I come down here to manual settings and configuration, basically that's the screen that I'm on right now. If I click on that, it's going to take me right to that page in the manual. Any screen that I have on there, when I click that, it's going to take me to that page in the manual. I don't have to thumb through the manual to find what I'm doing on that page. Okay, these are, you have to have common USB drivers and stuff for certain things. We can just do that from right in here. Another great feature of this is automatic Couple6 updates. If I'm connected to the internet, and I'll show you here, I'll click on check for Couple6 updates. Oh, I can't do it from this step. I have to be in the home screen. But it'll automatically go to our website and it'll look at the latest, the newest version, and it looks at your version. And if there's a newer version out there, it'll ask you if you want to update. You just click yes, it'll automatically update your software for you. That's a free feature for you as long as you're running Couple6. You have an email tech support, or you can just go right to our website, browse the Hamar Laser website, and you can look at there. You can email tech support. If you click on that, it'll take you right to our support unit. So that's a pretty good rundown of the software setup. Now let's get into the machine.